Okay, welcome back. We're going to focus on the kitchen right away here. Probably spend most of our this video here just on the kitchen, get it laid out, and so it's doing everything it needs to as far as design wise. So we're going to zoom right up on here, and at this point we'll be able to figure out where our opening is going to go and how we're going to create those. So there's some things that we have on here, and I think what I want to do is go ahead and start right with this wall bank here of units. So the first thing that went in right here, if we look at our plan, is a oven, and most likely a double oven. So let's go ahead and start putting those components. For these, we are going right to components. So anything that is not listed up here in the ribbon is in a component. So if you need a book, if you need an Xbox, a teapot, if you need a chair, anything that's in the components. So we'll click on components. And what we're going to find is that we are not going to have everything we need to be in the template. So we'll have to add some things in here. But we can kind of look and see some things that are in here already. There are some kitchen things like sinks and a few things like those. And we'll find those as we need them. But what we want to look at here is this double oven option. So here's our double oven. We'll click on that. And unfortunately, it only shows us the back side. And that has to do with the way these are built. And so there's not a lot to change that other than to put it in. So we're going to go ahead and place that double oven. Now, when you bring in a component, most of the time, probably, well, the majority of the time, the cursor, the little plus cursor there, is the back of that appliance. So your spacebar will rotate. So you can see your spacebar to rotate around. And we're going to place it right here for right now. And I'm going to cancel out of the selection and jump into 3D so you can take a look at what that is like. And so here is that unit. So 2 ovens right there. We're going to slide it in. Now, we need a cabinet to put that in. So this is the appliance. We need the cabinet. So now we're going to go back into component. We're going to go to edit type and load. We're going to back up out of the doors, and we're going to go to casework. So casework is all the things that are built-in cabinetry. And we're going to go for base cabinets. And here we have all these base cabinets that we can use to choose from. So as we go down through here, we are going to look for one that will take care of the need for that big old double oven. So by the way, vanity means bathroom. So all these that say vanity, those are for bathrooms. They are 30 inches off the floor, whereas everything else is a kitchen cabinet, and they are 36 inches off the floor. So they kind of to the top. So it gives you a little bit of a difference there. You are welcome to use the kitchen ones in your bathrooms. They work just as fine there as anywhere else, but there is a difference in those heights, and it really just depends on kind of how you want that to work. So as we go through here, we're just kind of looking for our built-in cabinet. So we then need one of these, so I have to remember to come back there and use that. I'm just trying to find the right one here. I am not seeing what I'm looking for. There's a song about that. Let's see. We're kind of looking at. Figure out where that went. Let me go back. I want to see if they've shifted this around. Check with the tall cabinets. See if that makes a little different there. Huh. Not seen. 2-door built. There it is, right there. Tall cabinet, 2-door built-in is what we were looking for. So it's in the tall cabinets. We'll open this one up and bring it in first. And we'll hit OK. Again, flipping that around. Now, it's not quite the width we want, but we're going to figure that out. So we're going to rotate that. and place it right there. Okay, so that gives us 2. Now, we're going to do some manipulating here. So we select the ovens, and we then go look at their settings. And these have a width of 2 foot 4.5. Whereas the tall cabinet has a width of 2 foot. So we're going to modify that with duplicate. And we're going to make that 30 inches. Take off the 2. Hit OK. Oh my goodness, already used. Cancel. Oh, there's already a 30-inch one. So there we go. So we have a 30-inch one. We're going to switch it to. Hit OK. Now that's wider. Now we're going to put the oven into the cabinet. So we're going to select. And we're going to go to move. And we're going to slide this in there. Now, it's not going to be a perfect fit first until we get everything kind of worked out. It's going to take us a minute to do that. So back to our 3D view. And we're kind of in pretty good positioning there. We do need to raise things up. So we see how the bottom here is. So we're going to go here and we're going to start with 8 inches. And we're almost to the right height. So we're going to do 1 foot. And that gets us on the right height. And our oven is almost there. And now we just need to get it kind of fleshed out. Now it's going to be, we've got these doors that are a little bit in the road and a little bit high up here. So we got to kind of get everything to go where it should. So we're going to check the cabinet here, see if we can modify that at all. And go that to height of the base built-in. So we can change each of these. We're going to bring this up to 1.6. So it's just a matter of changing these little settings and going back and looking where things are at, getting things where we want them to be, so we can position things. And let's see, let's go a little bit more there. Let me give this another inch. So just to kind of tweak it till it gets to where things look like they're fitting pretty good and things look about right. Now I got to get the height up here because they've got this cabinet above. So that's the next thing we want to work on. So we're going to take that up to 8. And that's not quite that high. I guess we can go 7.5. So it's just sometimes a trial and error as you figure out how these are built. Every one of them is built by a different person or a different company. And so you do have to do a little bit of trial and error to figure out where everything goes and get things to look right. Let me come back here and see if we can shift this just a little bit so it's a little more centered. And we'll call that really good. Now we're going to move both units together. So then go to Modify, Move, and then Window, the entire unit. Finish the selection from that corner right into the corner. And that is our first piece. And we just, again, verify, make sure everything's where it looks good. So that is our first unit we put in there. And it gets us kind of set up for the rest of it. So now back to the main floor. Then we have a base cabinet that goes in. And these, there should be in your template for you. So architecture component. And we then go to base cabinets. So everything again in here is alphabetical. And I just want a good base cabinet. Double door, maybe. Something like that. And I usually like to go with at least 36-inch ones, only because they just seem to be better at accommodating the needs. So we have that going there. You do still want to have a few 12 and 18s for cabinets and stuff. Typically, when I put these in, I do not put them in all the way. I like to use the align tool to make sure everything is aligned correctly. And so they kind of make sense as I'm going through there. I'm going to put in a drawer unit here next. And I do that because the next thing we have on there is going to be a stove. And so to have a set of drawers beside it just kind of helps things to go well. You need spoons and so forth and so on, and things that are helpful with that part of the cooking endeavors. There we go. And then we'll put in the range. Okay, so a little bit of we're talking, there's stoves, there's ranges, and there's cooktops and ovens. So a stove, by definition, is what Benjamin Franklin invented, that uses to provide heat and may be used to heat up a pot. A range is a stove, a cooktop, and an oven combo. A cooktop is just your burners, and an oven is just the device you put things inside of. So, but again, interchangeability is fine. Now I'm going to use the search button here because it is just a little, sometimes faster to search. If I can get that to work here. RANGE, and there's my range. So then I grab that, and we'll rotate that around. Look at the picture. Your knobs go in the front, so kind of keep track of where everything goes. And I might do a little bit of reshifting here. So slide this guy down and back to our line tool. When I'm doing kitchen layouts, I will often shift things quite regularly, trying to figure out the best fit, best layout, best functionality. It just kind of depends on what you're trying to accomplish. All right, now we're down to this last little bottom piece here. And I'm going to measure that because I want to make sure it matches exact. Because cabinets are almost always custom built, 2'7.5". Especially in a custom home. Your track housing, the housing's designed around the cabinetry more than not. But this is one where we want to make sure we kind of do things a little more nice. So let's take this 20, nope, not our sink one. I want just a double door if I can find one. So 27 inches. We'll take this 30-inch one, edit that, duplicate it, change this to 27.5 inches. Maybe if I spell right. And hit OK. And then we'll come down to the width, and we'll do 27.5 inches. Apply, OK. And that's it's a little more room than I thought. Okay, I might have to do some changing there. I think I did that wrong. I think it's 2'7". Now they look at it. The mistakes are good. Now let's rethink our work. Yep, 2'7.5". So we'll take this and we'll edit that. I'm going to start by renaming 2'7.5 inches. Not 7 foot. That's crazy. That's a big cabinet. And we'll hit OK there. And we'll put that at 7. And apply that. And now it's an exact fit, so we align it. Make sure it is going where you want it to go. And that is that row of cabinets. So we've got our oven, some work area spaces, everything's out there's our range. Now, when you're working this, we need to worry about the kitchen work triangle. It's between 22 and 25 feet for a three-legged triangle perimeter. So we want to make sure we don't get things too far out of whack as we do this. I'm then going to put the range in next. The refrigerator. So then do a search for that. And I'm just going to do a 36-inch. It's about what they have on the plan here. Place that about there. Now, like your hallways, you have to have at least a 3-foot pathway through your kitchen to make sure you have access to everything. You can't just cram it in there and squeeze your way in. You have to make sure things are working. So when we align this refrigerator up, we use the align tool. We want to put it to the wall, and then you want to move it. And you're going to do a little bit of spacing out. You want there to be at least 2 inches from the back of the fridge to the wall so that you can plug the dang thing in. People forget there's plugs on those, and you need some space behind there to do that. Now, the opening here between the refrigerator and the cabinet, I want that to be 3'8". I'm kind of okay with that. It's a little bit more roomy, and I still got a countertop to put on here. So if I have a little bit of space there, that's good. And it does allow me to create the opening I'm going to need on there. Okay, so now I need another cabinet. I'm just going to take and copy this one here. So I use the copy tool, select, finish, pick, slide, and then I'm going to rotate it. So here's the rotate, and this is my back is on this side. So I'm going to rotate 90 degrees to the right, and then I'm going to align that back here to the wall so that everything fits, and then that fits to the stove, or the refrigerator. I keep calling it stove. And then there's a desk unit in here. It's not a bad thing to have if you, they're pretty popular back in the day. They are kind of nice to see used periodically. I'm not sure that we have one, so let's go take a look in the library. So we'll load. Here's our cabinets. Let's see if we can find, start with the base cabinets and see if there's anything in there. I don't recall seeing a desk in there, but, I might have missed it. The library changes a little bit every year. They add a few things in there to make things a little more user-friendly. Desk drawer unit right there. That is just the desk drawer. So we're going to pull that in. I'll show you how we're going to use that. Okay, that does 2 feet deep, and it's only a width of 1'6". So we're going to hit OK on that. And that is going to go here. So I'm going to rotate that around. And this is the desk drawer. So that sits right there. And we're going to line that all up again, just like we've been doing. And we'll go into 3D and see what that actually looks like as we work there. So we get our lines to be lined up. Now it's not going to go all the way back because the drawer has some hardware back there. So we just line the front, jump 3D. And we'll rotate our room just a little bit so we can see how things are laying out. So we're going to rotate a lot. Okay, so this drawer is right flush with the next cabinet. And so we just need a countertop that goes over here. I'm actually going to put double that drawer now that I've got it in there. Because I don't need quite this much space. Could use, but don't need it. So we'll do another copy, finish, and I'm just going to go from one end to the next so everything stays lined up. And that'll just give me 2 drawers there in that desk instead of one. And I just need to put a countertop over that to finish that off. So it's more of an illusion or a symbology thing than it is anything else. All right, now the next thing we have is this island in the middle here. So I'm going to lay that out. I'm going to start with the dishwasher unit, and I believe that is in the system. It's a built-in. I'm not seeing it come. So we'll go pull that out of the library then. So we'll do edit type, load. The base cabinet's built in right here. Open that up. And this is going to sit right in here. Now I'm going to line that up because I want to have everything kind of work out well. Well, I want it to flow well. I'm going to line the back of this up with the wall, at least for now. I might have to shift it a little bit to get enough travel space around it, but we'll pull that back and then I'll line up at the edge of the refrigerator. So this becomes enough room to work with the stove and everything else in there. Then we need a sink unit. So they're going to go get that. And we'll start typing a sink. So here's our base cabinet under sink. I'm going to use a 48-inch. In order to get the right size sink in there, you kind of need that. I'm going to place it here. Then we're going to do a modify and a rotate. And then rotate at 45 degrees. So I need to see where I'm at. So put my start point, go 45, and that's where that's going to be. And this is where my sink goes. So now I'm going to do a move and connect this corner to this corner. So that means this little triangle wedge area is empty space. Nothing good goes there. Okay, now I need another unit. And since it's a sink area, I'm going to go ahead and put another cabinet unit in. And so I'm just going to copy this one here. Pull that out. And this is going to rotate 180 degrees. So the back's completely turned around. And then we're going to see if I can modify this width a little bit in here. And we're going to duplicate it. And this one, then do 18 inches. Apply. Add 6 inches to this. If you're doing drawers, 2 feet is your max on drawers. So they're either 1 foot, 1'6", or 2 foot. And this kind of works out good that way to get everything to fit. Move it over here. Oops, missed that. Try again. Okay. So this is my island. And that gives us plenty of room to work and flow as we build on this. Okay, so go ahead and get your base cabinets in for your kitchen following this. And when we come back, we'll put countertops on and make it look amazing and do the shelving in the pantry. So next video.